SPLC labeled the radical left group Jane's Revenge as a hate group. This group has publicly taken responsibility for vandalizing and destroying pregnancy resource centers and Catholic churches since May 2022. Have you all designated that on your hate map?
Under our criteria, we've designated those groups based on what they've said.
Under your criteria, Turning Point USA, Family Research Council, and other conservative Christian groups are considered hate groups. But Antifa and Jane's Revenge that burns down Catholic churches and pregnancy resource centers, those are not hate groups. It sounds like you're fair. During the Biden-Harris administration, the SPLC included many mainstream conservative groups in their hate map, including Alliance Defending Freedom, Charlie Kirk's Turning Point USA, and Family Research Council. To your knowledge, did the SPLC include Antifa, which is an actual domestic terrorist organization in its hate group?
Congressman Gooden, just for the record, the SPLC does not have a domestic terrorist list. I'm not sure what Dr. King was referring to, what list she's referring to. As I understand, she's on none of our list. We have a list that identifies groups based on the statements that they and their leaders make.
Is Antifa on your hate map?
Again, as I said earlier, Congressman Gooden, it's my understanding that the FBI has said.
So they're not.
Antifa,
let me ask you this. Has SPLC labeled the radical left group Jane's Revenge as a hate group? This group has publicly taken responsibility for vandalizing and destroying pregnancy resource centers and Catholic churches since May 2022. Have you all designated that on your hate map?
Congressman Gooden, if you've looked at our hate map, you know the criteria we set for designating groups. One designation is when a group expresses, vilifies, demonizes individuals based on immutable characteristics. The second is a group that expresses anti-government conspiracy theories.
So destroying pregnancy resource centers and Catholic churches would not qualify as hate under your definition. You guys are okay with that. But God forbid Turning Point holds a rally. That's considered hate, but destroying a Catholic church or a pregnancy resource is not. Just to be clear, help me understand.
No, Congressman Gooden, the SPLC establishes its own criteria, and any other group can create its own list. Under our criteria, we've designated those groups based on what they've said.
Under your criteria, Turning Point USA, Family Research Council, and other conservative Christian groups are considered hate groups. But Antifa and Jane's Revenge that burns down Catholic churches and pregnancy resource centers, those are not hate groups. It sounds like you're really proud of that process. I'll move on because I frankly think it's disgusting. And you know what? I'd actually ask for you to add me to your hate map. I'd be honored to be on it. It sounds like it'd be in great company. During the Biden-Harris administration, the FBI's Richmond field office relied on information from the SPLC when creating its memorandum that categorized certain Catholics as racially motivated violent extremists. Do you believe that Americans practicing their Christian faith and exercising their First Amendment rights are violent extremists?
Congressman Gooden, the SPLC doesn't identify any group based on religion. We too believe in religious liberty. We identify groups based on the statements they make, that their leaders make, based on their activities that target various groups.
Well, many of these statements are based on religious beliefs. So I'd take issue with that. Let me ask you, were your donors informed of your partnership with federal agencies under Biden-Harris administration? Did you let them know that you all were working with them?
Congressman Gooden, the SPLC has worked with every administration since our founding to advance racial justice and equality in this country. We believe our donors and supporters support all of the work that we do.
So funding radical racist groups is something that your donors are on board with. I have a hard time believing that. Mr. Jordan, I'll yield the balance to you.
A fiery congressional hearing erupted when Representative Lance Gooden confronted the Southern Poverty Law Center over its controversial hate map and its classification of several conservative organizations. The exchange quickly escalated as lawmakers questioned why some conservative groups were labeled as hate organizations while violent extremist groups were not. Here's what happened. The hearing opened with Representative Lance Gooden questioning the SPLC's decision to include organizations such as Alliance Defending Freedom, Turning Point USA, and Family Research Council on its hate map. Gooden pressed the witness on whether groups like Antifa had received the same designation. The question immediately put the SPLC representative on the defensive as lawmakers sought answers about the organization's standards and criteria. The confrontation intensified when Gooden asked whether the radical group Jane's Revenge had been designated as a hate group after claiming responsibility for attacks on pregnancy resource centers and Catholic churches. The SPLC witness explained that their designations focus on groups that demonize individuals based on immutable characteristics or promote anti-government conspiracy theories. Gooden strongly disagreed, arguing that conservative organizations were being labeled as hate groups while organizations linked to attacks on religious institutions were not. Backhand index pointing right. If you're enjoying this breakdown, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more congressional hearing highlights and political news. The discussion then shifted to allegations involving the FBI's Richmond field office and reports that referenced SPLC information. Gooden questioned whether practicing Christians and Americans exercising their First Amendment rights were being unfairly associated with extremism. The SPLC representative rejected that characterization, insisting that the organization does not target groups based on religion and instead evaluates public statements and activities. The disagreement highlighted the growing national debate over free speech, religious liberty, and political labeling. House Judiciary Chairman Jim Jordan joined the exchange with a series of pointed questions regarding SPLC programs involving informants and monitoring extremist activity. Jordan questioned why informants would allegedly encourage attendance at events the organization itself considered hateful. When the witness stated that extremism had increasingly moved online and into government institutions, Jordan expressed visible skepticism, creating one of the hearing's most memorable moments. The hearing concluded with lawmakers debating reports related to alleged anti-Catholic bias within the FBI and the broader influence of SPLC designations. Democratic members defended the organization's role while conservative lawmakers argued that the hate map unfairly stigmatizes religious and conservative groups. The exchange underscored deep divisions over how extremism should be defined and who gets to make those determinations.